See, he's too busy trying to, make the starting five for the Kardashian team. If he,
There you go. There you go.
Hey, boy.
Welcome, everybody, to an all-new episode of Oh My Hoops, your source for real basketball content from real basketball fans, man. Once again, it's your boy, John J. And with me, as always, is the one and only D Snow from the Go. Holla at him, Snow.
Southside. We're going to set this party off right. We back in the house again. Another great couple of weeks of basketball. We had a little hiatus. We missed y'all last week. But hey, the NBA kept rolling, and I know everybody else has been enjoying the game as much as we have. How you been, brother?
Man, I've been good, man. It's been a long couple of weeks without being able to record and talk to the people and tell them my feelings on all these wonderful games and this magic we've been seeing. But man, just like always, we right back at it again. So ladies and gentlemen, before we get into this fire conversation, please give us a like, a share, a comment, subscribe to this fire channel, man. Make On My Hoops your number one platform, your number one place for real basketball content. We appreciate that.
That's all we ask, man. We appreciate y'all out there. Hey, and speaking of Magic, man, those young Magic team, man, they're gonna be something in a little while, man. I've been saying they got a couple of quality wins over the last week. I know that's kind of outside the box. When you said this Magic, it made me think about that. How well those young guys have been playing, and to get Paolo back, our way too early, rookie of the year. I mean, I really love Paolo's game, man. It was a surprise to see them jump up and take him like they did, but I mean, you don't see nobody talking bad about that anymore, man. He's for sure the bona fide number one pick.
Yeah, no doubt. Most definitely. I like that young team. I like how it's coming together for them. Once they get a little bit of leadership, they're going to be a problem. I like the way Bol is developing. And it's a scary team, especially if they can wind up with that number one pick and get Victor Wembanyama. That's a problem for the rest of the league.
They already got probably the most guys under 23 that's 7 foot that can shoot threes and handle the
Yeah,
what were you saying, man? Yeah, get into it.
No,
man.
But I'm glad you brought up Paolo. That kind of brings me to my first topic of guys that are coming back. We had a few guys come back over these last couple of weeks, starting off with probably the biggest one in stature, Joel Embiid. Now those Sixers, I'm impressed. Tobias and them, they held it down without the big dog. But now Embiid is back, Harden is back. And just what do you think about how this team is looking so far? They done climbed up to the 6th seed in the East, and they're making waves.
I mean, in the beginning, we talked about, I really saw them as being a top 4 team in the East this year. I mean, because of the fact that they got a couple of years that they've gelled together. They have a great team. They have a lot of chemistry, a great coach. They bought a couple of more pieces in. Maxi's been playing out his mind, but then all of a sudden they start getting hit with the injury bug. If it wasn't for the injury bug, I think they'd be a lot higher in the rankings. We'd be seeing a lot better numbers from them. But, it happens, but yeah, seeing Embiid come back, and not only come back, he didn't come back like gradually. He came back putting in work. I mean, letting the league know that, hey, I should have been the MVP last year, and I'm back, and I won't mind this year, And I mean, he plays unselfish ball too. And that's the thing I love the most about Embiid. Not only is he a great player, a great teammate, but he wants to see the other players play well and do well too. So, I mean, just seeing him doing his thing and seeing him back out there with that energy, putting in that work. I mean, I love it, man. I've always loved it. He is the best big man in the game right now.
Yeah, and like you said, he came back ferocious. I mean, first game back against the Atlanta Hawks, he had 30 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists, 2 blocks, and 2 steals in 35 minutes. He was itching to get back. He was itching to get back out there. So, I agree with you. We expected a higher seed out of them, and they kind of like now playing themselves into expectations.
Yeah.
Probably the best way I could put it. But, he's doing his thing, and I believe he'll be a strong MVP candidate down the line. He just got to play enough games. That's a huge problem. Can be.
Yeah, like we talked about last pod, this is the wrong year to be having a good season. You need to have a great season this year because it's some horses out there that are not letting up. And they are, man, they running It's we're having a great season so far, man. Especially from the unexpected team. So when it comes to guys like Embiid, he's been there the last few years. Of course, we all remember seeing him cry. When Jimmy Butler, not Jimmy Butler, but when Kawhi took his heart that year. But I mean, I really feel like that window is closing on him. So that window closing on them, man. They got a decent team, but you know how it goes, man. These young guys only get better. You got a lot of young teams that are up and coming, but I think they are going to be one of those teams to be on the lookout for to go on a nice, strong run in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, and James Harden, like I said earlier, he's back. Not scoring as much as he used to, but his playmaking has probably gotten a lot better. And Maxey is on his way back. He's still out, but within the next few games or so, we should see him come back out there.
No, it's nice to see Harden do what he's supposed to do and not try to dominate the ball like that. I'm loving seeing him be more of a teammate, more of a point guard. And it's Embiid's team. Let's make sure we're feeding him. When Maxey's out there, let's make sure he's getting his 14 to 16. I love what I'm seeing out of him. That shows you a real, true, not only teammate, but player. I love seeing what I'm seeing from Harden. And that's why I think they got a chance to go far because they got some great pieces. It's just about being healthy at the end.
Yeah, no doubt. So moving on, we got a quick honorable mention. I know it was a couple weeks ago, but we didn't get a chance to talk about it, and it was an amazing feat. Devin Booker dropped 51 points in 3 quarters against the Chicago Bulls. Man, he played himself into an MVP. He played himself into a real strong MVP candidate this season. Talk about the effect of Devin Booker this year.
Devin Booker is probably he's top 3 shooting guards in the league right now. And I can't say an order because it'll be a big fight over it. I probably can't really say who, but he is top 3. I mean, not only is he a top 3 shooting guard, but he does swing over and play the point guard. He is really the leader of that team out there. Yes, Chris Paul is still there, but it's all about Devin Booker. Devin Booker, as he moves, that team moves. And he's been having a great season like he does every year. He's the type of guy you expect him to have a good season every year, barring injury. And he is shooting well. I mean, he's leading the team. Free throw percentage. He's doing everything. He's doing everything, including just being an all-out dog. I mean, like I said, against the Bulls, he could have went for 60, 70. I mean, that game, if anybody watched any pieces of that game, he could get whatever he wanted, whenever he wanted. It was just one of those games where you could tell he was in the zone. And I'm really loving that because, at the beginning of the season, I didn't expect them to really continue to do well. Yeah, they've lost 3 straight as of today, being the day that we did the show. But, they're still right there in the 3rd spot in the Western Conference, which is not easy to do. We all know the West Conference is the toughest conference. So, I mean, it's nice to see them playing well. It's nice to see Aiden putting in some decent numbers. And that's all D-Book. He's making sure Aiden's in the game. He's making sure he's a part of it. Because we all know how those big guys are. If you don't get them in on offense, on defense, they're going to lay off. They're going to not play as tough. They're going to miss, switching up and stuff like that. So I think it's important what he's doing, and even the other kid, Bridges, that's all about having a great leader. Chris Paul's doing his good job to push up D-Book, but D-Book is taking that moniker and that baton. He's been running with it for them. He's having a great year. Yeah, no doubt. I will go so far as to say, Chris Paul is there, but just like Embiid, this is Devin Booker's team. It's his team.
Chris Paul at this point is secondary. He's still a vet leader, but he's been gone so many games. Devin Booker has been the force. Devin Booker is the reason why they were, for a little while, number 1 in the West. Yeah,
Chris Paul, I think if he's too busy trying to, make the starting 5 for the Kardashian team. If he,
There you go.
If you work more in D-Book should be put in your ear telling you, nah, bro, that's the wrong move.
Been there before.
But yeah, man, I do think it's a great thing how these young guys are not only taking over, but the older guys that were stars before are letting them getting themselves out the way and still being a great contributor, but helping them to be a leader because we've seen it before where the older guy, they're kicking and screaming, don't want to get out the way. It's not like that on those 2 teams, and that's why they flourish.
Yeah. Most definitely. And while we talking about the Phoenix Suns, they had a hell of a game last night in the battle for first in the West. And, you know, spoiler alert, the Suns are now number 3 in the West, so we know they lost. Those New Orleans Pelicans, who you representing right now with the jersey, they pulled it off. And it was a bit of some controversy at the end where Zion came with a 360 windmill with a second left in the game that Chris Paul took quite a big exception to. Did you have a problem with how they ended the game?
Not only am I a big, big hater of the whole baseball rules, I think that stuff is stupid. Same thing here. If you don't want them to dunk, go play defense. If you don't want them to blow you out, stop them. Hack them. Do other. It's ways to stop from happening what happened last night. And it happened for one, because we all know this is the one untalked about thing that people in basketball that know a little bit about basketball know. Chris Paul has a little mouth on him. Chris Paul does a lot of jabbing. He talks a lot of crap. It never comes out in the media. We never hear about what he really says. And I think that's because he's the Player Association president. But Chris Paul.
Former.
Yeah, former. Yeah, but it's just weird how. It's weird how like he's always in the middle of something going on. You know what I mean? Some kind of controversy. All of a sudden, it's weird, you know? And the thing we all know about Zion, I've been a Zion fan since high school, since probably sophomore, junior year. He is the quiet, gentle giant. He ain't looking to start no smoke with nobody. He looking to shake hands. Thank you. He looking to shake hands, sign jerseys. He's like the nicest kid you ever meet. To see him pull a little bit of energy out of him, I was excited for it, because that's what I want to see. I'm tired of seeing all these guys that want to be best buddies and friends and go out canoeing after the game and, you know, let's go double dating. Man, I want to go back to the times where we don't like you during the season. We're not friends. When I see you out there, it's all fire. And that's what I love what I saw.
I really liked what he said in the post game.
Yeah.
Those guys eliminated us last year. I was here in the locker room. I saw the effect it had. And
if you remember, he wanted to play. Remember, he was pushing them. He wanted to play bad. And that's when those videos start dropping of him doing 360s. And he's like, I'm ready. And I'm telling you, man, like, I love that fire that Zion brings, man. I love the energy that he wants to be out there. He wants to be great. He wants to be a great player. You know, and the numbers he's putting up shows it, man. It's nice to have that kid back.
It was definitely good to see it. And I get why Chris Paul took effect to it. Doesn't mean I agree with it. I mean, it's an played out old man rule, basically. You know, this is a young man's game, and it's a young team over there. And I feel like the reaction.
Who don't want to see Zion do one of those in the game? That's what we pay for. We paying to see that.
I feel like the reaction fired up that young team even more. This is what these kids live for.
Did you see that crowd go crazy when he did that?
And I tell you what, the most important thing about that play, we probably got one of the dunk of the year candidates right there. So as a fan, I love every inch, foot, second of it.
Especially when they took away that dunk from that guy for Houston. Man, we see so many nice dunks get snatched away because of offensive fouls and all these travels they're calling this year. But, man, that was a dunk we needed that was in-game that counts. And one of the reasons I got this jersey on, because we all wrote New Orleans off a few years ago. We all did. We was like, oh, they garbage, they trash, they're going to always be a destination nobody wants to go to. They're going to always be a losing team. And, man, they have really turned that – they have turned that team around, seriously.
Big shout-out to C.J. McCollum and Willie Green. Yeah, because when they hired Stan Van Gundy, I thought that was the worst move they could have made to have Zion on his roster. It made zero sense to me. And he came in and slowed down the pace, and it wasn't right. And that old school game is gone. It's dead. I'm sorry.
That's true.
So shout out to Willie Green. I like what he is doing for this team. And right now, probably
he was right in the middle of that fray last night, too. He was right in the middle of that fray, too. Right there.
You could tell.
He played
you could see the look. You could see the look in his face, like was like, yeah, I get it, but these is kids. It's what kids do.
But chill out.
Yeah. You gonna make it 10 times worse. I'll deal with it.
It hurts more because, for one, the Pelicans are the little brother of the league, and right now they're in first place. Right now they have, so when your little brother starts, and we're big brothers. You know what I'm saying? Well, you're a little brother, so you've always
I'm a little brother.
You never had to deal with that.
I'm a big brother
side.
too.
Yeah,
I deal with it. I'm a big brother.
You know how it is, like when you're able to beat the little brother at basketball, even just in 2K, and it's like, oh, I can just take his lunch money. Then all of a sudden one day, he's like, I can't beat him no more. And that's what's going on, man. I think
I never
really
get my little brothers will never get that satisfaction. I don't care if I gotta rip, if I gotta cheat and rip the controller out at the end of the game. It ain't happening. I ain't gonna let them get that satisfaction. It's not happening. The trolling will never end. My little brothers are jerks.
That's how it go, man. That's how it go. Once you got that title, you can't take it away. And that's what's happening right now. Those guys, hey, they like, we ain't scared of y'all, man. We are here to bring the pain.
For real. Okay, so here's another topic. There's kind of a potential big deal that I don't think has been getting discussed as much yet. Maybe you'll see it on the major networks coming up throughout the week. But there was a vote this week for the Players Union and the NBA. They voted to extend the deadline to opt out of the current CBA. For those of you who didn't know, with the current CBA, the players had an opportunity to vote to opt out on December 15th, which is coming up next week, right around the corner. And if they opt out, next season is the last season of the CBA, but they can opt out this summer and stop work. And we know how these work stoppages, how they go. It could take a while. Luckily, they voted to extend that. It'll probably be in February when they have the vote, but that's something to look at. I mean, a potential shutdown is on the horizon. I hope we don't get it. I hope we can agree on it. But the owners, they're trying very hard to stop the emergence of these super teams. They don't like that the big markets can go over the luxury tax and just keep paying it. They don't mind paying the difference when the smaller markets can't keep up with it. So they want to implement a hard limit instead of the luxury tax that no one can surpass that limit and keep it even playing field. So, A, what do you think as a fan? What do you think about that potential hard limit? And B, do you think we might see a work stoppage?
A, I think the hard limit, I think that's a bad decision. The only reason being is because different markets generate different type of wealth. I mean, the market in Milwaukee is not going to generate what they're generating out in Golden State. Even if they sell out every single game, it's not going to be the same money because of the cost of living, because of the price of tickets. So I think they need to find a way to continue to share the money as a company, as an NBA, and then find a way. Like, yes, you do want to have some type of cap and say you can't go over it, but it has to be a cap where it's fair, and that's going to be tough because we got teams that are always $50 to $100 million under the cap. They never go anywhere near it. So it's like you got teams that are not willing to spend the big money to go get the players, and then you got the teams that's willing to spend over the money to get them.
Well, and that's where I'm gonna jump in because I kind of understand it as a fan of parity, a word that we've been talking about a lot on this show. It helps with the parity. I don't like to see the super teams. I want to see more evenly matched games where OKC got just as much of an opportunity as a New York or LA or Chicago or Boston. With something like this, they might have a better chance of keeping their own free agents.
Yeah.
And
I don't agree. I believe that the NBA basketball as a whole is better when the big teams are the best teams. We need New York to be great. We need the Bulls to be great. We need LA to be great. We need the big markets to matter. If the big markets don't matter and we start losing now, those little markets. Now, and the thing is, I try not to be a hater on the little market because I know, like, places like OKC, that's all they got. The Thunder they look forward to that. They look forward to the Oklahoma Sooner game. They don't have a lot in those markets, but I'm a big NBA guy. I like seeing the big six matter.
As a fan, I want to look forward to each one of these games. I want to see a gauntlet. I want to see a team earn that right instead of buying it necessarily. Don't get me wrong, it's still some fun games with some of these super teams, but I mean, it's not as entertaining when you know how the story ends. And I mean, to me, but with that being said, I do think if there's going to be a limit, a spending limit, there needs to be a spending floor. Yeah. Everybody needs to at least be able to spend.
See that, and that's going to be the toughest part. 70%
of it,
though. To say, okay, look, you got to spend your money.
Yeah, I mean, that's the only way we can make it work. If I'm going to tell these top tier teams, y'all can't spend as much, I have to have that same conversation with the bottom tier teams. Y'all have to spend more. And if you can't spend more, you might need to think about selling. Plain and simple. Yeah. I mean, it's still a business.
Yeah. I mean, that's what it's all about, Bart. That's why it's all about coming together, seeing how things going to go. Like I was going to say, like, as long as I'm wearing this Laker hat, I'm always believing how Mr. Buck believes, man. You got to do what it takes to win. If it's drafting, if it's spending money, it's about doing what it takes to make the Lakers with nothing. I mean, that's crazy. Like, some people don't know that. The Lakers are tied for the most championships in NBA history. And if you go 25 years ago, they were nowhere near that. Nowhere near that. They made themselves to be who they are. These other teams can do the same. San Antonio Spurs, they were nothing 20 years ago. They didn't have any rings. Now, we looking at them as, man, well, they mess around and get the draft right. They might start. So I'm just tired of watching the people that don't want to spend no money, that don't want to do anything to make that team better, complain about the teams that are. I've always been that guy. And of course, I'm a player guy. I'm going to always support the player. So, I mean, when it comes to the cap thing, I don't think that's supporting them. I think that's supporting the teams. That's supporting the teams that's willing to spend more money. So I think the players don't really care about that. They just want to make sure they can keep getting that. I don't think they care about that.
Well, I mean, they might to an extent of, they can't go partner up maybe with their best friends because they won't be able to fill out their team.
I think that time is coming to an end, though. I think we're getting ready to change guards on that. I think the new generation that's coming up, competition is coming back where people want to beat each other. It's not.
Yeah, these kids want to be the killers.
Now, I know AAU is the problem because a lot of these kids already know each other. If you listen to any of the stories, they've all played against each other since 8th grade. They've all been seeing each other.
Yeah. So it's a gift and a curse, though.
Yeah, it's the AAU. It's the familiarity thing, yeah?
Yeah, they're getting familiar with each other, but at the same time, they also seeing their competition and knowing what they can work on right then and there, too. So it's a gift and a curse. Yeah, you got to take the good with the bad on that one.
Facts on that.
I mean, ain't nothing better than the number 2 ranked guy to be sitting right next to the number 1 ranked guy so he could know what it takes to move up.
Right. You get to find out how good you really are at that moment.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm with AAU, but I agree with the point you're making.
Okay.
So, yeah. And for those of you that are interested, I will post a link to the article talking about the CBA down in the description. So, some more news, and I know this is something that you felt strong about was Trae Young. He had a situation come up with a reporter this week, and I know that you were very proud of how he reacted. So, Snow, you want to get into that for us?
That was crazy, man. Like, okay, for one, Nate McMillan, what's going on? Like, what age are we in? Like, and Nate McMillan is an old basketball guy. I've been watching Nate McMillan since I was a kid. I remember him back when he was, the Seattle days, putting in work, when he was Sean Kemp and I remember him watching him coach over the years, I was always a Nate McMillan guy. I enjoyed his coaching style. I enjoyed the teams he coached. But when this news came out, I was shocked. And I didn't do enough research on it to know who leaked it. Was it actually him? From what I'm hearing, he leaked the information up. And so he leaked that Trae missed the game because they had a disagreement. So now, and what, of course, now you might hear about this kind of thing in high school, maybe college, AAU, but never in the league. You'll never hear about, okay, they have disagreement. This guy didn't come to work. Now, that's a red flag.
Superstar. This is your superstar.
That's a red flag. So if that's the case, and if that is what happened, why would you let that out? in the social media age we live in, where they will crucify a guy like him. Not only because he's the star of your team, but because he's a black all-star as well. The NBA black all-stars are under fire right now. So why would you give them a story to run with? So so for one, I'm upset at Nate for that, But the next part is, okay, Trey still kept it under wraps. He's never talked about it. He did what he's supposed to do. He says it was a personal matter. I can go over the last few years and tell you about different times. Matter of fact, Tom Brady in the beginning of this season, he didn't come to practice. He didn't even play in the preseason because he had personal matters going on. Have we heard anything about that? Have they released any information about that? We haven't heard a word. But all of a sudden, the star of our team, Trae Young, missed the game because he's mad at me. That's basically how they let it out. That looks bad, and we all know that, So I was very shocked at that. But what we get into was the other part, and that's the reporter. Now, we do live in a media age where reporters are looking for that story. Everybody's looking for a chance to go viral and get their name out there. Be on CNN, be on ESPN, be the person that everybody's talking about. And this guy, he asked Trae, point blank range, they say you missed the game because, what was going on. Trae answered it valiantly. Hey, there was a personal thing going on. I would like to keep it personal. This guy asked him the same question 4 more times. Now, I'm just tired of us. It's 2022. I believe that equality has changed, across the board in a lot of ways, but in a lot of ways it hasn't. Because I just gave you a perfect example of a guy that missed all of preseason, does whatever he wants to, and nobody questions whatever's going on with him. This guy tells you, who knows? He could have lost. His girlfriend could have had a miscarriage, or it could have been something really crazy that he doesn't want to put out there because we got the Shade Room, we got World Star, we got all these people that are waiting for a story to grab and run with. So he wants to keep his personal business personal, And I think it's just, it's a shame that we don't respect these young men, the way we respect other people. It should be an all-around thing, and I do commend Trae because it was big of him. He could have got out of his body. He could have said something crazy. He could have run out, tested, or robbed him. We've seen guys say, you know what, F it. Just go in. He stood his ground and he did the right thing. But I think, as media, like us, we're doing podcasts. Even if we did get a chance to meet and do a real interview with a guy, we would never, ever dig into somebody's personal business. We have to keep it separate. It's sports and it's personal life. And and the line is so blurred now in the day we live in, where people are looking for that personal story, they're looking for the next Kyrie, they're looking for the next person to put out there, and I think I'm happy that Trae didn't let that happen,
Yeah, no doubt. So big shout out to Trae Young for being a bigger man. So let's talk about something fun, man. Our way too soon top 5 MVP rankings.
Ooh.
You want to come with you want to go with yours first?
All right, man. So it's been a couple of weeks, so we did have a little time to see some extra basketball, and over the last 2 weeks, it's been some great ball. Of course, it is the way too early, so I can be, a little off, a little biased. It's up to me how to do that. But I'm going to start at 5. Well, first off, I got to give out a shout to AD. I really feel like, man, the Lakers they're on a 3-game losing streak, and they're not playing as well as they could be. They're 10-15. But, the numbers he's been putting up have been monster. I think he's averaging 47 and 13, something crazy over the last 5 games. And I got to give some love to him. I think he's going to come on later. And that's my guy. You see that. I love me some AD, Chi-Town, But my top 5 for this week, number 5, I got to go right on down. I got to give it to my man down in Cleveland. He is balling. He is carrying them. I have been talking about it all weeks. Leon Rose should be fired for not making that trade and picking up Spider Mitchell. He should be fired. You see what Spider's doing. But so 5, I got Spider. 6, 4, I'm going with Luka. Of course, record could be better. They should be doing better. Number 3 this week, I got Zion Williamson.
Okay.
His team is number one. He is playing ball. The boy is not only shooting well, he's rebounding well. His shooting percentage is up there. They are winning because of him, not in spite of him. I think that is big. Number two, I got to go with the one and only Giannis. Giannis is steady carrying them. They steady doing their thing. He would be higher if the other guy wasn't playing so well, but I think they are neck and neck. In my book, these two are neck and neck, and it's about who's going to fall off. But right now, they're both doing it because number one is Jason Tatum. You know, Jason Tatum, he is not only carrying that team, man. That 21-5 record means a lot, man. We did not see them coming out the gate with a brand new coach playing that well, and he is on fire right now. I mean, whatever they need from him, he's doing it. And I mean, that's what MVP is. I mean, I think you take him away, they'll still be decent, but I don't think they will be 21-5.
Okay, I like it. All right, so I'm gonna start off with mine. My number 5, KD. KD has played himself back in the conversation. The Nets have moved up to the number 4 seed in the East.
15-12, man.
And they've had regular turmoil. Like it's nothing to wake up and it's a whole new story out about that team. But KD's been trucking.
Ben Simmons is down again. Yeah, he's been carrying them. Yeah.
30 points a game, 6.5 rebounds, 5.5 assists, and 1.7 blocks. KD in the top 10 in blocks. So definitely, KD is number 5. Number 4, Donovan Mitchell. You said it best. Those boys are playing good. Mitchell is averaging 29 points a game, almost 5 assists, 4 rebounds, 1.5 steals, and they got the 3rd best record in the East. I reward consistency and I reward the records. Number 3, Ja. He came back from his injury. He had skipped a beat. Ja averaging 27.7 a game, 7.8 assists, 6.5 rebounds, 1.2 steals, and they number 2 in the West. So big shout out to Ja Morant. He's having a major season. Number 2, Giannis. Giannis is somebody that could win this award realistically every single year.
Yeah, he the new LeBron. He the new LeBron of the MVP.
And this might be the clickbait slogan, but when it's all said and done, he might be the best power forward we've seen.
Yeah.
He averaging 32 points a game, 11 rebounds, 5.5 assists, 2nd best record in the league. Number 1.
He makes it look easy too.
Yeah. And number 1, starring for the best team in the entire NBA right now, the Boston Celtics, is Jason Tatum. 30.5 points a game, 8.2 rebounds, 4.1 assists, 1 steal, and 1 block. Best player, best team, playing some defense. I like everything I'm seeing from young Mr. Tatum this year. He is
Kobe Tree himself.
and I will give an honorable mention to Zion, who that team has played themselves into the top seed in the West. I will also give one to Luka Doncic. If his record improves, he can easily go up to number 1 on this rankings. And also AD. Same could be said for him. If he plays them into a top 6 playoff team, he's a strong candidate, probably top 3.
Yeah, hey, my man Zion, the last 3 games, 35-7-4, 29-10-5, 25-6-4, all shooting 60%. Like, if he can do that the whole season, man. And that's why, like, I love me some Ja as well, but I'm a Zion fan to heart, always have been. And for them to be in first place, I didn't see that coming. I had to get him in my MVP. He's playing well. He's been there all season. It matters, man. It's nice. And then what he did last night, that was icing on the cake for me. To finally see him showing that extra little, I'm here,
Yeah. And just real quick before we get out of here, I'm gonna take about 2 or 3 minutes real quick and some quick hitters, some things that we didn't talk about earlier, but we want to make sure it gets out there for the people. Number 1, Brittney Griner. Shout out to BG.
Welcome
She's
home,
back
BG.
home. BG is back home. Can't wait to hear from her. Can't wait to see her back out there on the court again. And just happy she's got her life back. And hopefully she can prosper from this some kind of way.
Yeah.
Another thing, something that you mentioned earlier when we were talking, is these back-to-backs. So many back-to-backs is causing these injuries. You want to speak on that real quick?
Back-to-backs and the 3 games in 4 nights are really crucial to what's going on this season. You are seeing a lot of guys sitting out. A lot of guys taking games off, and it's not load management. Something has to be done. The NBA has to make a mandate. We can't continue to see nice one. You're seeing 10 to 15 of the stars that people coming to see taking games off. So I think it's something going on where the players are trying. Hey, CBA's coming. Something's going on while they're doing that, because too many of them are taking off, and I think it's because of the back-to-backs, and it's just the wear and tear on their bodies.
Yeah, and then also real quick, just want a quick rundown of these records. A lot's changed since the last time we met up. There's been a big shift out west. Utah's slid. They're down to number 6 seed now. The Kings, they slipped a little bit, but still playing good in the top 5 still. But the New Orleans Pelicans and the Memphis Grizzlies have just taken over the West.
Yeah.
The Blazers have taken a spiel. And the Sixers have worked their way back up. The Nets have worked their way up. And the Pacers in the top 5.
Hey, my 2 teams that I have been talking about all year, the Pacers and the Sacramento Kings, they are both still right in the middle and in the thick of things, and they are playing some great
5
basketball.
seed for both squads.
They're beating good teams. They're not just beating, the bottom teams. They're beating good teams. Hey, that buzzer beat against the Lakers a couple of games ago, that was a big game for the Pacers to pull that game out. It gave them some confidence that they've been running with that. So it's, like you said, it's the year parity. The Hawks, man. The Hawks were the number 2 team in the league 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, and they slid. They showing how much they need DeJounte Murray, too. He's been out with injury.
And Pop, we love you. We think you're the number 1 coach ever. But we see what you're doing, Pop. We see you.
He think. That's where we at. He think you're the number 1 coach ever. I'll probably put you in the top 5.
Number 1, man. I'm a Phil Jackson guy, but I gotta give you your props, man. You made something out of nothing.
yeah, he's legendary. I will say though, I was a little surprised at how they started. Now they rolling back into what I was expecting from them. Once they gave up Murray, I knew the tank job was on.
I think the Jazz is gonna find their way back into that too. They're gonna figure out a way to stop.
They might be a play-in competitor though. That's possible. They still fun to watch, and they got some good talent.
Hey, like you said, from it's like a 2 to 3 games. It's crazy how close everybody is, man. So we'll see.
One good week to change everything. Yeah, no doubt. So, ladies and gentlemen, so far we're a quarter of the way into the season. It's been so much going on, so many top flight storylines, and the parody has just been unbelievable. So, ladies and gentlemen, please, if you love the NBA, drop us a like, leave us a comment, share this with your friends, give them something to talk about, and subscribe if you haven't done it already. And from us here at On My Hoops, ladies and gentlemen, we love you, and we out.
Zion is better than Ja.
Peace.